It's times like this where I wish I wasn't watching this show on a weekly basis. Like, I could just binge the whole thing. But yes, episode 41 of Apothecary Diaries. Things are heating up. Things are getting really exciting. And my gosh, the preview for the next episode is looking crazier. It's getting crazier. But yes, episode 41, really fantastic episode. Obviously, yes, finally getting... The sussy Shisui has been finally exposed. She's been finally exposed. Now, I still think I hold true to my theory that she's going to be either directly or indirectly connected to Loulan. And the idea that she's either going to be Loulan herself, and there's currently a person in her position right now, sitting in as a double, or possibly she might be the double. Either way, it does seem like it is sort of putting a damper on the idea of Shisui herself being Loulan, just because they've been gone for so long. Like, they have left. They're in a different area right now for that long a period of time. They couldn't do that if she was Loulan, because the Emperor's going to go in there to see Loulan at some point. She can't be away from her post. But again, it could be the idea that she, again, is either a twin sister and that she's never been in the position of being Loulan, or there's a double thing going on here. There's a body double that they're swapping places with. Either way, we'll see. It does look like Maomao is sort of pushing towards that. Like, I have one more question mark, which is Shisui ... I'm like, just do it. Just do it. I think Maomao's probably connecting that Shisui's just related to Loulan. That's very, very much so connected to her. But I could see Maomao of any person having a very strong bond with her and seeing that there is the similarities there. Now, again, granted, we have not seen Maomao in the presence of Loulan in a long time. It was just that one little party they had where they brought in all the lewd books, and Loulan was in the party. It wasn't like she was up close to Loulan and getting up there and going, hey, man, let's go cuddly. Let me look at the details in your face and your pores and all that kind of stuff so I can see your actual face structure. It's not like Maomao has, like, a photographic memory for that whole situation. She could. But she's making some sort of connection. She's making a connection there. I'm glad that she picked up on the idea that, yeah, Shisui sus. She's definitely probably tied in with these people. Was able to see that she kind of shielded her when they were walking. But yeah, that stuff's great. I also loved how much insight in this episode we got into sort of Jinshi seeing how Luomen has pressed so much upon Maomao. He's seeing and how Luomen works. Oh, just like Maomao. I also like how angry Jinshi's been in this episode. But anyways, let's get into the episode proper, opening up the episode with, again, Jinshi's doing his investigation, going around to each group, getting an idea of what's going on. The thing that frustrated me during this whole little beginning bit here is that he points out that everybody's pointing out that, yeah, she went over here to get copies made of this post. And so she went to the study hall. And, okay, let's go back over to here. It's like he never goes to the study hall. I'm guessing he did at some point and got nothing from it, but it's like he keeps hearing that she went to the study hall. So why isn't he going to the study hall? He keeps going everywhere but the study hall. But no, there was a couple things in this entire segment here that was interesting. Is one, the fact that he keeps pointing out the fact that she's going to be punished. Like, because she left her post for so long, and with what's going on with Gyokuyou currently, he's going to have to punish her if she doesn't show up here soon. Granted, most of it is sort of applying to the fact that if she abandoned her post, she's known for getting herself caught up in stuff. And if she gets gone for too long, yeah, we're going to have to do something about this. It's unfortunately that we can't treat her with special treatment. You wouldn't do it. We all know, Jinshi, you would not punish her. Give me a break. You'll just claim to everybody that she got punished. No, they'll send her to the shed again. That'll be the punishment. They'll send her to the shed again. That way it publicly looks like she's suffering, but she's not. But I love at some point, I don't know if it was Gyokuyou or Hongyang that was pointing out the fact that, did she make any enemies? Like, she's got tons of enemies, dude. Every single episode of the first season was literally her making an enemy out of somebody because she caught somebody. But no, again, the nugget in this little segment here is, one, yes, Jinshi is getting angry. And I like how it keeps showing that he's losing his composure. He keeps having to correct himself. He's getting super angry, especially after he finds out about this Shisui girl. He's pissed. He's mad. But no, specifically like this whole segment where he's trying to push himself and he's like, I got to do what I can. And he's pacing himself too fast. He doesn't look like a noble. He's not walking around like a noble would. He's not carrying himself gracefully like the Jinshi's supposed to. Again, when he's in this rear palace, he's supposed to be Jinshi the eunuch. He's supposed to carry himself with grace. He's supposed to be this graceful noble, the one that's supposed to charm everybody. That's what he's supposed to be. And currently he's rushing through the hallways looking like something going down. And so you have Goshun's right there. He has to stop him. Jinshi, check. Jinshi. So he has to stop himself. Oh, yeah. smiling face. The girls are all swooning. It's like, I like how they have that little brief moment of you seeing how this is really getting in his head. He wants to find, and obvious reasons. This is getting in his head, and he has to find Maomao. And it is interesting that Luomen himself doesn't seem like he's upset about the situation, but he is carrying himself with a thought process here. He's still thinking it through. He's just not showing it like Jinshi is. And it's kind of bothering Jinshi. Like, aren't you upset about this? Aren't you worried for her safety? It's like, yeah, of course I'm worried. But that's not going to fix anything if I start looking all flustered and getting all worried about it. Like, it's not like I can change anything doing that. But additionally, getting the idea that, yes, I can only do what I can do. I don't have, it's almost like I almost wanted him to say, I don't have power like you do to Jinshi to mobilize an entire platoon. Like, I have what I have in this room. I am a doctor in the position in the rear palace. What do you want me to do? Rush past all the guards and go look for her? I can't do anything when I'm in here. But he is going through the processes. He's trying to figure it out as he can. And then present to Jinshi, who has the power. Here, this is what the information is. Do what you can do with it. But again, it points out, and it was almost like a gut punch to Jinshi, and I was kind of surprised that he didn't get more into it, is the idea, yes, at some point, she disappeared for almost a year. I wasn't able to do anything back then either. I just have to wait for her to come back. And back here, she got kidnapped and sold off to the rear palace. I had no power there. She just disappeared. She could have been dead in a ditch somewhere. She could have been kidnapped by somebody. No telling. She could have just ran away from home. But I couldn't really do anything about it. I just had to wait for him to come back home. And yeah, Jinshi realized that. Yeah, she was the same way. She just shows up in the rear palace at some point, was sold off there. She kind of kept to herself for pretty much a year, just doing her work very quietly. They were kind of doing the same thing. Again, kind of making those parallel there. But I was kind of surprised that Jinshi at that point didn't feel bad again. Because again, back here when he found out about Maomao's story, he felt bad. Because it was essentially his administration that bought her in there. And that's why he wanted to undo it somehow. He felt bad that this person that he was falling in love with, oh yeah, the reason why she's here is because she was forced back here. She was kidnapped and sold back here. It wasn't a legitimate sale of a person. You could argue that no sale of a person is legitimate. Again, she wasn't that she was sold into forced servitude to, get rid of a debt or something like that. She was kidnapped, which is very much so different. This is something that shouldn't be allowed. That's why he ended up doing some things against them. But anyways, yes, I love the fact that he's sort of seeing the parallels between two of them. The idea that Luomen's not, jumping to conclusions. Oh, the paper. Does that mean something? Well, hold on. Let's get back to the doctor's office and we'll check it. And then I can tell you something. Oh, do you know where she's at? Well, no, hold on a second. We're going to find the cat, but I don't know. We might find the girl too. Like, he's never saying a definitive. I think the whole thing with the cat was especially true. And the idea that it seems heartless because he's going, oh, let's go find her. He's like, do you know where Maomao is? Well, no, let's go find the cat. And we might find the girl. He's pretty sure that he can find the cat based on this information. But he's not going to claim that he can find Maomao. But this is sort of a ends to a means. Again, as Jinshi put it, they're very much the same. This is something that he has really drilled into Maomao's head, which, is frustrating to some people that want an answer to something. It's like, no, I can't tell you yet. But yeah, I love when they're looking around. Goshun's like, Maomao, nya. I'm going to pretend that I didn't hear that. But no, wrapping up the whole thing with Luomen, I do like that at some point, again, he sees that they're much alike and how Luomen is so set on the idea that I can only do what I can do. I can only do these certain things. And this kind of encouraged Jinshi the idea of, yes, I'm going to do the same. I'm going to do everything that I can. And then he excuses himself and he bows. Now, I'm not going to read too much into this, but I do think there's an element here of respect. Because Jinshi technically, obviously, isn't a way higher power than what the position is of a doctor. This doctor in this clinic in the rear palace is lower, yes, not only to Jinshi as what we are finding out he is, which is literally the emperor, but more so to the position that he currently is. I would be kind of curious about that. He's supposed to be a noble eunuch that is in the rear palace that is supposedly heading over the rear palace. You'd think that that would be over the position of a doctor, but he still bows his head. Not that that's a big deal there, but it's kind of interesting. I do think that's sort of a respect to a father-in-law. I think that's sort of just a respect to a father-in-law. But anyways, that's when we go to Gyokuyou again, and then we have Gyokuyou is pointing out the fact that, yeah, this looks like the word green, which is sui, and then that's when she makes the connection to sui, or Shisui. Now, I don't think that Maomao was writing Shisui, because I didn't hear any of the other characters that said she. I think she just seen sui. And I think that's what they were picking up on, that Maomao wrote Shrine and Sui. And I think right there, it's pretty much Maomao is connecting the idea of Suirei and Shisui. So she's connecting the name right there. And she's kind of communicating that outward. But either way, it works enough because Seku is able to go, oh yeah, that's right, that girl that she keeps hanging out with, her name's Shisui. But again, Jinshi angry. Jinshi angry. But anyways, that's when we cut perspectives over to Maomao, Shisui, and Suirei, which we have them on the boat. I'm very interested in this whole little segment right here because one, yes, Maomao making the joke about how, yes, I decided to do what she said. It wasn't because of the revival medicine. It's like literally she's responding to everybody laughing at the fact that she totally took that because of the revival medicine. No, I didn't do it because of the revival medicine. But yeah, kind of plotting some way in order to get out of there. But interesting here because Shisui, which again, at this point, I was already pretty much convinced that she's involved, that she went with this whole process. But Maomao here is picking up on something. The idea that, yes, typically Shisui is very energetic, she's very cheerful, she's very loud, and suddenly right now, she's super quiet, acting much different than she typically is. Now, yes, there was a side of me that was almost feeling like, okay, maybe this is for a reason, in the idea that maybe this is her true self, and maybe is the element of, again, Loulan. This is her Loulan side coming out. And it was a brief moment where I was kind of considering the possibility of, if Shisui was Loulan, that this was a sign right here that Loulan's realized that she's been kidnapped. That this whole thing wasn't about getting Maomao, but it was to get Loulan. And then I'm like, nah, that can't be. For a brief moment, I was like, well, I wonder if Shisui is Loulan and they've just kidnapped Loulan. And this isn't about Maomao. That when Suirei showed up at the clinic back there, it was after she just got done kidnapping Shisui that she knew was Loulan. But anyways, that aside. It was just a random thought that popped in my head. But it was cute. It was a cute little cuddle scene. I totally ship it. I totally ship Maomao. I ship Maomao and Shisui. No, I was already shipping Shisui with Zolan. We can't do that. We can't leave my girl all alone. One thing she notes in here when she's on the boat, though, that kind of connects to later on, is that, yes, she is pointing out the fact that she has finally put the damn hairpin in. That she lost everything that she has, but she still has the hairpin. And I kind of wonder, because of how they put so much emphasis in the later part about this festival, I'm kind of wondering if that hairpin is going to come into play later on. The idea that she's going to end up having to wear a mask. This festival, everybody's going to be wearing these masks, and they're not going to have any concern for having Maomao be a part of the festival. And Jinshi's going to be there, and he's going to see that hairpin. Mark my words, Jinshi's going to spot Maomao in a crowd of people at a festival as he's looking for her because she has that hairpin in. Because they're going to be able to see anything else, and just going to have that hairpin sticking out. I'm calling it. Why they would not realize to have her get rid of the hairpin that's another story. Because they would know about that custom. These people would know about that custom of sort of what the hairpins mean, and would know that that's a very distinct hairpin that she has in her hair. But yeah, that's when they get to the forest. She notes that rather than going north, it seems like they went somewhere else. But yeah, it stuck out me really quickly, the fact that the noise rustle, and immediately Shisui goes to shield her, kind of goes to her right side. I'm like, yep, there it is. There's a sign right there. Wait, it's done. It's done. Sign. And I'm glad that Maomao actually picked up on it. I was going to get really angry if she didn't pick up on that. Immediately, Shisui picks it up, throws it, says it's okay. It seemed like she was having a panic attack. I mean, yeah, Maomao has to go up there and kind of pat her back, long breaths, all that kind of stuff, steady your breathing and whatnot. But Shishui's like more going in the idea of like, it's gone, it's no longer there, and later on says that she's afraid of snakes. I'm kind of curious if that'll be some sort of thing they'll get into later on, of maybe some sort of trauma in the past. But yeah, that's like the big giveaway. The big giveaway. Yep. You knew her before now, didn't you? She's much more smart than she gives off. She's definitely somebody of a privileged upbringing. I do give credit to Suirei for kind of firing back to say, that's not very uncommon. There's a certain daughter of a strategist. you kind of have a very special father too, don't you? Granted, that's different because Maomao wasn't brought up in a privileged family, but even still, right there is sign that Suirei knows that Maomao is connected to Lakan. Right there. That is literally the reason why Maomao's... Now, I like the fact that Maomao points that out. Is the whole reason that you brought me along here is because of my father? That ain't going to end well. I was saying that the last episode impressions. Lakan, if he knows yet, he's ticked. This guy's ticked off. If Shisho is involved, he's going to scorch earth the guy. That's what I was saying. In that meeting, I don't think it was necessarily that he was really going after, the assassins after Jinshi. He is. That's obviously what he's going for. That's a big part of his role and what he's doing. But I think he was looking for, where's my daughter? Again, you don't mess with his wife and you don't mess with his daughter. But again, I think the fact that she's pointing this out right now, the strategist, that's obviously the sign that Suirei knows who Maomao is, and that Maomao being kidnapped, a large portion of that could be not just for Jinshi, but to use against Lakan. Because the whole idea here is that if Shisui wants power, if he wants to have control, he needs to gain favor of Lakan somehow. He's very independent and you don't mess with him. Don't get the guy involved with things. So if they want to control him, Maomao. Now here's where we get Maomao's theory on what's going on with Shisui, which I don't necessarily agree. And I may have just kind of understood it wrong. But it's implying the idea that Shisui was coming in there on a regular basis. She knows about the secret passage and she's coming in there in order to communicate to a eunuch. She has to be there for another reason because the eunuch only just recently arrived. Who was she visiting before then, before this cat got through and then Maomao, ran into her? This will give me the impression that, yes, Shisui has been popping in there on the regular basis in order to, again, communicate to Loulan or to swap with Loulan. And she could have been the one that was sneaking in to tell Loulan that, yes, Suirei has gotten out of there. She was the one that was communicating what was going on with Suirei now that she's gotten out of the palace, that kind of stuff. And then, yes, she could have been the one that came in there to notify her that Suirei is coming back in as a eunuch. She could have been the in-between that entire time. And Maomao right here is only connecting it to the idea that she was coming in there to communicate to this new eunuch, and then this cat got through or whatever. Again, the time doesn't really connect there. And I think she's probably going to figure it out eventually. Because again, she's already connecting some sort of thing between Shisui and Loulan. So, we'll see. But yeah, that's when they get to the village. Again, hot and humid. They have hot springs there. And then she spots the Envoy. Now, they do have later on, Suirei points out to her, you're wondering why the Envoy's here, right? My job has not been unrelenting ever since I got back. It's like, even after I died and came back here, I am not short for jobs. I'm just constantly busy. But it doesn't say anything other than that. Like, it's literally like, oh yeah, you're wondering why the Envoy's there? Yeah, I got a lot of work to do. I mean, yes, obviously, she's doing something for the Envoy. There's something they're cooking for them, something that they need from them. The Envoy has come to this area because, again, they have something special here. They're probably visiting the hot springs. But additionally, yes, probably maybe buying some medicine from her or whatever. Hopefully not buying some sort of poison for her from her to go back to the rear palace, but we'll see. But yeah, they meet some boy that calls them sister. I don't know that necessarily that means that they are blood related. It could just be calling them sister because they're big sis or whatever. They could just be very close friends or whatever. But it could mean the fact that, yeah, technically Shisui and Suirei are part of this family that seems to be some sort of noble family, a rich family there. And yeah, they're preparing for a festival. Again, it's so interesting that even after Shisui has been kind of called out by Maomao, that Maomao knows that Shisui is involved with this whole thing, that she's still kind of being very friendly with her. This makes me believe that at least Shisui, and could be Suirei as well, Shisui doesn't really necessarily want to make an enemy of Maomao, but is using her. Now, Shisui could be being used by everybody else. The idea that, yes, Shisui is just a scout, a spy, and she's involved with this whole situation. And now Maomao has been kind of tied up with the whole situation because she found out Suirei. It could come down to the idea that despite the fact that we are at odds with each other, it's not as if they want Maomao dead. Shisui could be trying to make the best of the whole situation, despite the fact that Maomao's being tied up into it. Maomao is a very critical pawn right now. Again, something that can possibly move Lakan, who seemingly is a very neutral party in the powers of this kingdom. But additionally, the fact that they all seem to know that she's very heavily tied in with Jinshi. And I think, if anything, this current move to kidnap Maomao could be driven by the fact that back here, when Jinshi was in these lands, the assassins spotted Maomao with Jinshi. So they could very much so know that Jinshi is very involved with Maomao. So the word's out, basically. The word's out. And again, I think that the way that Shisui is acting around Maomao is an element of she still wants to be her friend. Again, if the current Shisui that we see right now is the real Loulan, and there is a double that is taking Loulan's spot, it leads me to believe that someone that is going to be decently high up in this power structure doesn't want anything bad to happen to Maomao. So I think that does at least alleviate a lot of fears that I have for, Maomao's safety. Though again, at this point, with where I think Maomao's at, Shisui is going to be the one that is heading this entire thing. I think at this point, I can toss aside my thought process that he's not involved, and that is going to be Loulan's father that is literally doing this entire thing. Anyways, that's when we get a little brief shot of Jinshi and Goshun, and yeah, they've found out about the waterway, that this eunuch has gone missing, that there's no Shisui in the registry, and that, yes, this guy barges in. Gyokuyou is. Damn it. Not right now. Not right now. My gosh. Yeah, that's... Of all the times right now, I mean, it's not like this is going to change anything. I mean, having Maomao at Luomen's side would help him a lot because, I mean, they have, yes, probably a bunch of ladies that can help out, whatnot. I mean, Hong Yong was there before, but this is going to be a surgery. This is going to be a surgery. This is much different. I just hope nothing goes wrong. I literally, nothing better go wrong. Ryder, yeah, nothing better go wrong. I'll be so mad. My gosh. Next episode is going to be rough. Next episode is going to be really rough. And again, I peeked at the preview, and there's so much stuff going on in that preview. And one particular shot, I'm not happy with. If I don't know what it's saying, it's too far away. If you watch the preview, you know what I'm talking about. It's a very far away shot. Damn it, no. just damn it, no. That's all I'm gonna say. All I'm gonna say. I think that I regret watching that preview because it gave me some really unpleasant thoughts for the entire week that I have to stew on. But we'll see. But anyhow, that's my thoughts on the episode. Hope you guys enjoyed my video. As always, if you did, hit the like button down below, comment, let me know what's on the episode. If you are a source material fan, I do not need answer to any of the questions that I have kind of proposed. I'm just having fun speculating. If you like this content and you want to support the channel more, I have links in the description below. Greatly appreciate it. But until next time, y'all take care.